It's up to you, New York, New York.
Idris Salam, it was not just one game, according to Donovan Mitchell. That was a game for the ages. Donovan Mitchell lying to the New York media, similar to Rafael Palmeiro, pointing that finger in front of Congress saying, I didn't use steroids. The only thing Donovan Mitchell got right about that is we fucked up. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook and YouTube. I am Richie, here with my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco, from the Bronx.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to tell you all that New York, ain't playing at night. King of New York. I said, you know, funny. I said my old song wrong. Big Nick energy. Look here, baby.
You don't got nothing to apologize for. Tupac on Mother's Day messed up his Dear Mama song, but that was the Hennessy.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Hey, look here, man. If y'all missed that game last night, you missed a classic. I need Stephen A. Smith. I need Skip Bayless. I need what's the big fat guy on ESPN that knows everything that knows basketball? I forgot his name.
Wendy?
Wendy. I need Wendy. I need a lot of people. Steve Broussard, Nick Wright. There's so many people. You all said Jalen Brunson is not a top 10 point guard. We're not even sure he's top 15. He's not going to get us past the second round of the NBA playoffs. He's not the guy. We should have brought in Donovan Mitchell. If you are a Knicks fan and you felt that way before we got Jalen Brunson, you don't need to be celebrated. Because we don't need you. Big Nick energy, baby. Let's go.
All right. A tale of 2 quarters and a tale of 12 minutes. Knicks got off to a decent start. Neither team was taking good care of the basketball early on. I thought a turning point in the game was when the Knicks showed a little frustration about not getting certain whistles, and they were not getting out to three-point shooters. It's been a concern of mine pretty much since October.
Yeah.
And Cleveland was hitting shots, 2 in a row to be exact. They swung the momentum, and then Cleveland started believing, like, wow, we have all these turnovers. We can hang. And in the second and third quarters, they did more than hang. They hit the Knicks with a real wrecking ball. The Knicks were clearly rusty last night.
Yeah.
But there was another thing that was proven evident about that 10-day layoff. They had fresh legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that paid such big dividends in the biggest comeback in playoff history for the Knicks since 1970. And in case somebody wasn't aware, the Knicks won the championship that year.
Yes, sir. It's crazy because, you know, OG wasn't there early on for the first 3 quarters.
Idris, I'm getting a feedback. It almost sounds like you're ruffling papers back there or something.
Oh yeah, that's me. My bad. OG couldn't get off early. Cat couldn't get off early. You know, it's just slow. You know, but Mikal Bridges He came through. Josh Hart came through. Then in the fourth quarter, we all know what Brunson did. But OG, he started feeling a little bit. Cat started feeling a little bit. Shemet, Shamit, whatever you want to call it.
Idris, I don't mean to interrupt you, bro. I don't know what that feedback is.
Let me jump out and come back in.
My sorry, bro.
I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. All right, he'll be back in a second. Landry Shamet, in my opinion, outside of Jalen Brunson, the most important Knick yesterday. And it wasn't just his timely shooting. The defensive output that he did was just tremendous. Mikal Bridges, some big stops. What I saw yesterday from this team, actually, I'm going to let Idris jump right in because he was in the middle of a sentence. Idris, you continue as to what you were getting at.
I was just saying that it just shows the intentional fortitude of the team. We were down, and shouts out to our crowd, man. Shouts out to our crowd. They stuck it out. But you figure we're down by 22.7 minutes left. In most stadiums, in most arenas, in most coliseums, the fans start clearing out. That New York crowd stayed there and got louder and louder and louder and louder. And it got to the point where it was like, we can't lose this game now. And once we tied it up, I said, we got this. We got this. But, Landry Shamet, or Shamet, whatever you want to call him, diamond in the rough, man. Diamond in the rough. When he gets in there, he doesn't get a lot of minutes. But when he gets in there, he makes his minutes count. So, big Knick energy, baby.
I think the thing that really just blew my mind about yesterday's comeback is once the Knicks got it around 17, 16, 15 points, the way that the crowd was reacting, you would have thought it was a 3-point game or a 2-point game. And Karl Anthony Towns, in 2 different post-game interviews, flat out said, they gave us the motivation to get over everything that happened before the comeback. They gave us the reason to want to keep fighting. And one thing I'll say, and this is a credit to Mike Brown.
Yeah.
At no point in that game, I think it was Sir Charles who said this, talking about body language, or it might have been Kendrick. Actually, it was Kendrick Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick Perkins said, I'm all about body language. And he says, at no point in that game did I feel that the Knicks were freaking out about getting outplayed. They looked rusty. They looked lethargic. They were shooting the ball flat. They weren't finishing at the rack. They also weren't getting calls. And I will admit this, down the stretch, the refs were starting to even out the whistle count.
Yeah.
But
he had 5 fouls himself.
But what I can't believe is that if you're coaching Cleveland, how do you not call a timeout until the Knicks drive it down to a 4-point lead when you were up that much? Exactly. And Cleveland got complacent. They were playing almost like in the NFL, if you're playing not to lose and to run out the clock.
Exactly. You can't play that. And as a Knicks fan, I can tell you, and I'm not being a homer, you just have to look at our crowd. Listen to our crowd. And this is not a homer statement. Look and listen to our crowd. We get into it, and Cat nailed it. That crowd got louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. And the first thing that came to my mind was, Cleveland doesn't know what's going on. That's the first. I said, they don't know what's going on. I said, because it's like you said, they started playing not to lose. No, you're in New York. You're at the Mecca. You're at the Garden. Philly saw what New York fans do. Atlanta saw what New York fans do. When you get in front of that New York crowd, you got to put us to sleep. And that means you have to put us to sleep. No matter how good, how bad a team we are. You have to put that New York crowd to sleep. Cleveland couldn't do it. I don't care if they went up by 30. I don't think they would have kept that crowd quiet. That crowd was the sixth man, dude.
The thing that really just made me scratch my head from a coaching aspect.
Yeah.
When you see James Harden getting incinerated by Jalen Brunson and then any other Knick that decided to play offense during that period of the game, what is this nigga going? Where?
Bro, he was cooking.
Where are you going? I'm sorry. Idris, you still there?
All right, here we go.
You still with me?
There? Yeah, I'm here.
Nah, somebody almost hit me, and
I heard you.
yeah, somebody almost hit me, and they're driving a Versa, and I'm like, that ain't gonna end well for you. You're gonna be underneath my wheel well.
Oh, that's a Matchbox car from as fuck.
Oh my.
Oh, but like I was saying, no, you were talking. You were saying how. Well, we both were saying the same thing. I don't know. I'm so hyped this morning, man. I'm so.
No, I'm very excited. But so Jen and Noah went to bed. I don't know, somewhere into the third quarter. Well, Noah was already down for the count, and Jen went to bed. So I had a responsibility to not be too loud, and I would have just loved to see anybody who could have recorded what I was doing yesterday, because it was like a controlled rage. Every time the Knicks kept putting in a bucket, I'm doing these ridiculous dances. I got like one hand on my chest because it really did feel like palpitations, because between the Yankees putting the ball in the hands of Camilo Duvall last night, which is like really rolling the dice.
Yeah.
And I understand why they did it. David Bednar's overworked right now. He's got his own issues too. So the Yankees barely, by the grace of God, win that game.
Oh, yeah.
And the Knicks are still getting pummeled when this is happening. Then all of a sudden the Knicks start showing life.
Yep.
But I refuse to turn the game off. I refuse to turn the game off. And you would be surprised that there are a couple of fans that out of pure frustration turned the game off and came back and were like mind blown that we had either come back or if they tuned in after the fact had won.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan. I've turned off Giants games, Yankees games before. I've turned off games before out of pure frustration.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But to see what happened yesterday, and the fact that Cleveland refused to take James Harden,
yeah,
out of the game when he was getting incinerated offensively by Brunson. And I mean, there's a particular New Jersey Nets fan, I ain't gonna name drop, and I'll never forget this. Since that comment on social media after game 3, Brunson ball equals selfishness. Brunson ball equals hero ball. Brunson, okay, you get the point.
Yeah.
The Knicks are 8-0 since that little tirade of the hatred of a Brooklyn Net fan.
Oh yeah.
You know what Brunson ball is? Brunson ball is picking up everyone around you and literally putting it on your shoulders yesterday. That's exactly what Jalen Brunson did.
Yeah, and this eight game run, we've broken a lot of records, bro. We look like we're talking a 33-point swing after the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter. We were down by 22 points. I think 6:57 left in the game, somewhere around there. I know what you're saying. We were down by 22. We won by 11. Big energy, baby.
Yeah, two different 11-point leads. The most important one, which ultimately wins the game.
Right.
But Idris, I've been watching this Knicks team pretty much religiously since 1992, which was Pat Riley's first year as the coach.
Yeah.
That particular year was exciting. They took the Bulls to 7. And, Michael Jordan did what Michael Jordan does, which is take over.
Yeah.
And, 93 was a year of promise, a year that I actually, to this day, still think we were a better team than the Chicago Bulls, but they beat us, and that's all that matters. They beat us. 94, we know what happens.
Yeah.
The O.J. Simpson chase, game 3, missed too many free throws. John Starks heating up in the fourth quarter in game 6, unfortunately Hakeem Olajuwon got a piece. To this day, I think that ball was going down if Dream didn't get a piece of that ball.
Yeah.
95, the finger roll. 96, injury marred season for Patrick Ewing, early exit. 97, Miami Heat brawl. Then we beat the Heat a bunch of times, but then it was the Pacers. 99, improbable 8th seed. Go to the finals, lose to the Spurs. 2000, go to the ECF, lose to the Pacers. Patrick Ewing's final game at Madison Square Garden. Then we have that terrible, terrible trade. We made the playoffs the next year, and the Toronto Raptors beat us, and then it was a very, very dark period for the New York Knicks.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. Shuffling of coaches and GMs, and we were at the bottom of the barrel, man. And we came out for a short period with oh God, I can't say. He reminds me of Mike Brown so much. Mike Woodson. We did decent with him. They got rid of him. I don't know why we got rid of him, because we were playing very good with him.
When I knew it was really over for that great era of Knicks basketball was when Jeff Van Gundy resigned.
Yeah.
I remember the way I felt. I was watching ESPN in my grandfather's living room, and when I saw that Jeff Van Gundy resigned, I knew it was going to be a long time. I don't know it was going to be that long, but I knew it was going to be a long time until the Knicks got it right. That Patrick Ewing trade, I feel that the basketball gods punished the Knicks for such a ridiculously poorly placed trade that had no value for anything. And I understand Ewing, to a level, played his cards poorly, and he'll even admit that. It was great seeing him in the building yesterday. Oh, hell no.
In Toronto Raptors.
His flat top didn't even look right anymore.
No.
He still, the flat top was starting to lose some of the steam. He's getting older.
Yeah, but it did look right. That's what looked right with him in that. It's just like Hakeem when he changed. It did look right. Well, Hakeem looks a little bit better, but Ewing didn't look right. The
thing with Ewing is some athletes, when you lose it, it all happens at one time. And unfortunately for Patrick Ewing, that's exactly how it went, because he had to alter his shot after that terrible injury in '96 against the Pacers.
Right.
And he had the wrist injury, and then, his body was mangled by the time that they really brought in that core of LJ, Spree, Houston.
Yeah, he's beat up. Yeah, that's a big man game back then too. So he's beat up.
Yes, indeed. And that's why I try to remind people that no knock on Nikola Jokic, no knock on Joel Embiid, but when you want to put these guys in the conversation of the big men of yesteryear, I'm sorry, it was a big man's league. Now, do I think Jokic and Embiid can play with those guys? Perhaps. But back to the matter at hand. If you're the Philadelphia 76ers, Idris, how do you recover from such a devastating defeat? Or do you think that, the Cleveland Cavaliers, how do you recover from this?
I don't know, man. Cliche, go back and look at the tape. But there's no tape to look at because you know where the problem was, Jalen Brunson. And as you said about James Harden, and I've said James Harden will always be the issue. And I said, this listen to James Harden's stats again. 15 points, 5 of 16 from the field, 1 of 8 from 3, 6 turnovers, 5 fouls in 42 minutes. That's your point guard / shooting guard.
I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how when Donovan Mitchell is your number one offensive go-to guy, how the offense is running through anybody other than him.
I don't understand that, man.
Because he's over there hanging out on the wing. He's over there hanging out at the three-point line. And it's like, it's crazy to me. It's truly crazy to me that you have a situation like that where Mitchell, who was really, really shining hard in the first half, where Brunson could not find a shot, and not just Brunson, I mean damn near anybody not named Mikal Bridges. I think Bridges was the only guy that had a positive field goal percentage, really.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, Idris. They said it over on ESPN. They said it over on everybody that covers basketball in one way or another. You're not going to catch the Knicks that vulnerable again in this series because
No.
they're not going to be that rusty again.
No.
And
Exactly.
the fact that they were able to overcome such a horrid, and I mean
Oh,
horrid,
man.
performance for essentially, dude, the Knicks won the game in 12 minutes. One quarter, almost 13 minutes it was. It was like 12:40 something of that 44-11 run. 44-11 run, dude.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I've been
That's
seeing
insane,
things
dude.
that tells me, this is going to be a little different this year. And by the way, 44-11 subtracted, that equals 33, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to leave that there. I'm just going to leave that there.
Bang, bang. Team of destiny,
This
man.
isn't my sharpest nor my crispest. And I admit that. I'm tired. I was so wired when the Knicks won this game yesterday that I'm just like, there is absolutely no way that I could go to sleep. And the crazy thing was, I did a short, acknowledging a Yankee victory that I wasn't exactly happy or proud of.
Right.
I was relieved. I was relieved that the Yankees were able to escape. And I was very honest. I was very honest. I likened the Knicks' flatness to the American fables written about the Earth being flat. That was like the title of the show. Where I came up with that is beyond me. I think it could have been my grandfather occasionally ribbing my grandmother.
Yeah.
Yesterday was 23 years since my grandfather went to his next destination, and I put out a cool little thing on my island for him. Poured a little liquor in a cup, which is tradition with me with lost members.
Oh yeah, that's an OG thing right there.
And I'm not trying to be extra, but I'm just going to say this.
Yeah.
There was something a little more happening yesterday that I could not wrap my finger around nor explain. My grandfather was actually the person who got me my first chain and pendant as a gift, and it was a New York Knicks pendant.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll be honest with you, Gramps didn't really claim an NBA team because he loved college more than the pros. But Gramps would root feverishly for the Knicks because I did. And all I'm going to say is, if you had anything to do with that, Yogi, thank you. Because I'm not convinced that you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just so, it's insane, dude. Where we're playing right now, and this is why I say Mike Brown was our coach. He was the guy we needed to go after because he went to that bench, especially when the team wasn't playing well. He went to that bench put up a little bit, they put some numbers, And golly, man, Jalen Brunson, dude. I mean, God, man. I'm so glad. I can't speak about him because it's so hype. As for Cleveland and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, I always felt it wasn't a good decision to sign James Harden to put him alongside Donovan
He's
Mitchell.
a defensive liability, bro. There is no nice way to say it. He is literally a defensive liability.
And when situations like last night, he is not that. He's just not that type of guy. So let's go. We're gonna come back. We're gonna do this. That's not him. He's the guy who puts up points. But he's not the type of guy that he's gonna lead a team. And last night, to have him and Mitchell did his thing. Mitchell does what he does. I mean, but James Harden, to be the guy he is, and dribbler, the shooter, it's like he doesn't have. I don't know what it is. He just doesn't have it. And this is why I keep telling people we have these players today who got the stats and all this and flash that, but when you compare them to those of 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, are they really as good as you say they are? Because you see guys like KD, great play, shooter, the whole thing. But since he left Golden State, what has he done? He can't even stay healthy. You look at James Harden, same thing. What has he done? I bash LeBron, but I'm gonna give LeBron his props. He stays fit, you know. He
The
plays
one thing
hard.
I'm going to give LeBron James, in
Yeah,
addition to a compliment that I think he could have possibly been an NFL tight end, is that I personally think LeBron James, um, while I don't necessarily know if he would go down in the same stature that he did in this generation,
yeah.
but I can say that about a million players because it didn't happen. That's not an indictment of today's players because they're superior athletes. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give LeBron a solid compliment on just some unbiased take on this.
Mm-hmm.
I think LeBron James could have played in the 90s.
I think he could too. I think he could have played in the '90s. I'm not. I mean, I'm
But do
not gonna
I
put this.
but do I think that he would have been able to dominate at different spurts of his career the way he did in this generation? I am not sure.
No, I don't think his longevity would be as long as it is.
And even Steph Curry, a guy who I have a world of respect for, a guy who I consider the greatest overall shooter in the history of the game,
Yeah,
in the 90s, I think he would have been a sniper, a terrific shooter, a guy who got a lot of stuff done.
yeah,
But I don't think that Steph Curry's game would translate well in the 90s because I don't think he would have his way in the paint where he gets some of his teardrops, where he gets some of his finishes. Because
right.
Steph Curry's not a very big guy by NBA
He's not.
standards.
He's not.
I mean, shoot. What about Jalen Brunson? I love Jalen Brunson. Would he translate well in the 90s? I'm not sure. He's a little guy by NBA standards.
Yep. Yeah,
His-
I'm with you, bro.
I'm not sure. And it's not really something that needs to be decided. It's just an observation. What I do know is that if Jalen Brunson delivers an NBA title, he is fast tracking his way to jumping Walt Clyde Frazier and Patrick Ewing as the greatest New York Knick of all time.
Yep. And you know what? I think Clyde and Ewing. I don't think they'll have a problem with that. I don't think because you know what? I like. Man, props to Clyde Frazier, man.
I love
He's
that
been
man.
a Knick. He's been a Knick through and through. He stayed with the organization. God, Clyde Frazier. He reminds me of Craig Sager with the jackets, but
Rest in peace,
yeah,
Craig Sager. That
Craig
was a
I
good
love
man.
it.
That was a good man.
Those
Rest in peace,
jackets he
Craig
wore,
Sager.
boy. Oh yeah, those jackets he wore. That's what made him who he was, man. But yeah, Clyde, man, he's been there through everything.
Yes,
He's,
indeed.
young, he's been there since the championships. He's been through our darkest years, and you know what? He's still there, man. He's still there.
Yeah, that's a
Brunson,
man that never walked away because even though I love these 90s Knicks, Ewing,
yeah,
Starks, LJ, etc., with the exception of certain nights, these guys were not staples of every part of it in terms of the whole process of getting back. And I'm not going to even say that I blame them because the organization was run so poorly for so long, and James Dolan pissed off so many people, starting with Charles Oakley, and there's a long list. I mean, hell, Patrick Ewing got stopped by security, and he had to point at the banner and be like, "Hello, that's me." I can't imagine a New Yorker living in New York not knowing who Patrick Ewing is. I can't even wrap my head around that.
right, right. You may not
But
know his name, but you know who he is when you see him.
and I get it. Oakley might have grown to be a little too bitter, and I don't really care for the way
Yeah,
that over the years how he has embellished stories, and also over the years how he has thrown Ewing under the bus. Because with all due respect, Charles Oakley, there's a strong contingent of not just Knicks fans but NBA fans alike that feel that maybe you were part of the problem because you were a little soft on Michael Jordan because of how close you guys were. You ever think about
yeah,
that one, Charles, before you start throwing stones
yeah,
at the heart and soul of a team? He carried that team for 15 long years with minimal help because, Charles, you were a hard worker, and I appreciated everything you ever did. You even had that little Nike commercial, the hardest worker in the garden is Charles Oakley.
yeah.
But Oak, with all due respect, you were a 10 and 10 guy, so calm down.
Yeah. And he's not as recognizable as Patrick Ewing. Like I said, you may know his name but don't know his face. You may know his face but don't know his name, but you know who Patrick Ewing is. If you don't know his face but you know his name, when you see him walking, you'll know who he is.
But do
He's
you know how
got that
terrible
look.
it is? Do you know how
Yeah.
terrible it is to alienate yourself when you were such a beloved fan favorite?
Yeah.
Because at this he's getting bitter, and he talks about how Ewing let them down. And I personally think it's a similar bitterness to Scottie Pippen's last dance thing. In Oakley's case, I don't think he ever forgave the Knicks or Patrick Ewing for blocking the trade. But Charles, with all due respect, the value on that trade got us to the NBA Finals. And while Marcus Camby won't go down as the same kind of Knicks that you were getting up in age, dude.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, Patrick up until the Houston Spree era never had that kind of help.
No, he really didn't. That's why he's one of the greatest Knicks, because he basically carried that team until we got like guys like Spree and Starks and everybody. You know, so
A guy that reminds me in terms of New York sports lore, a guy who reminds me of Patrick Ewing but flipping sports is a Don Mattingly.
mhm.
Because Don
Yeah,
Mattingly carried
yeah.
so many terrible Yankee teams.
And just
And
at
right
the
when
end
they
is when
had
the team came
the
in.
perfect nucleus to win championships, Mattingly's back just couldn't hold up. And people forget. But when Mattingly hit that famous shot in the 95 ALD, a young, green Derek Jeter was sitting kind of like one leg over the rail, one leg on the rail, cheering for the current captain. Unbeknownst to me, that young man was going to be a captain in less than 7 years or so.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. It's truly remarkable that it was right there. You know, Jeter got to taste the playoffs, and he wasn't even considered a rookie until '96, even though he participated in '95, because there's a certain criteria in Major League Baseball. We have to take a certain amount of at bats to be considered a pure rookie.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Jeter ends up winning Rookie of the Year and the World Series. But yeah, I liken Mattingly and Ewing in so many ways, and that is the one huge comparison because of the fact that they carried organizations that were not run the best at times, that did not do the little bit of extras that could have got things right, and that had a lot of turmoil. And the Knicks and Yankees, if you're basing it on those eras, you know, Steinbrenner in the Yankees case, a lot of turmoil. Riley in the Knicks case, a lot of turmoil. I will say this, if the Knicks would have given Pat Riley the power, there'd be some more banners up there. But they were not comfortable giving Pat Riley what he wanted. And I do believe to a level that Riley dropping the ball in Game 7 of the NBA Finals had a profound effect on how the Knicks front office viewed him. And, you know, Jeff Van Gundy, say what you want about him. He wasn't Mr. Armani, but he took 3 of 4 series against his mentor, Pat Riley. And were it not for PJ Brown body slamming Charlie Ward, I think the Knicks go a full 4-0 against the Heat in that era. But why am I talking about all this stuff? Because yesterday what I saw, in my opinion, is a top 3 or 4 Knick victory in my life of watching this team play playoff basketball. I would say my happiest moment as a New York Knicks fan is the 1994 Eastern Conference Finals Game 7.
Yeah.
The LJ 4-point play stands out as one of my happier moments. They're few and far between because of the 15, 16 years of just futility. But what we got going on right now is really special. And the beautiful thing about what the Knicks got going on, what Leon Rose has been able to cultivate, is that however this plays out, this team's got a 3 to 4 year championship window.
Yeah, I think so too. I really think so too. And I'm confident going all the way. And I know it's early. And you know, it's that what they call it, the flavor of the month thing. But I think we can win it. Um,
if we win it, I think we do have a 3 to 4 year window to defend. Um, because Cleveland is getting older. Jared Allen, still pretty young. But James Harden is not a spring chicken. We've seen how James Harden disappears. And when he disappears, it's like he's not even in the freaking city. To where our team was young. We got a core of players, Hart, Brunson. We have these guys who've played together for the long Bridges. The Nova Cats. We've had them. They're young. They're running together. They know each other. I don't think we'll break that squad up because of
The thing that really stood out to me yesterday, Idris, is when you got Bridges, Towns, and Brunson at the presser. And Brunson really doesn't have any explanation for how the hell they pulled it off. He said, we just keep playing. Towns said at no point in the game on Scott Van Pelt that I think we're going to lose. And then, but the thing that sticks out to me more than anything is we just got to keep sticking together and make no mistake between the Villanova connections and between just the overall structure of the character in that locker room. This is a different kind of Knick experience and something that I think is even tighter than the teams of the Ewing era, because it's been exposed years later that the Knicks of the 90s did not have the same healthy camaraderie that this current Knicks team has. Because if Charles Oakley feels that deeply toxic about Patrick Ewing, then it's been revealed to me that even though he was known for giving 100%, when you have that kind of ugly feeling towards the leader of your team, whether fair or not, you never truly respected him the proper way.
right.
And one thing about Jalen Brunson, he has everyone's respect. And that's not an indictment on Patrick Ewing. It's actually an indictment on Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
But
Oakley is the problem. Oakley's madness was caused by Charles Oakley. Yeah. Dolan's a knucklehead. We all know that. He's always been a knucklehead.
But in the words of Vince McMahon, how he said Brett screwed Brett. Oak screwed Oak, and I'm not defending James Dolan, but Charles Oakley, I really wish would do a little reflecting because he has really, really become a sour, bitter man, and it's unfortunate to see because he should be proud and thankful for the time that he had. But when you look at the Knicks Legends row and there's two obvious guys that are not there. Anthony Mason because of an untimely death.
And
Charles Oakley because of his attitude. But Idris, I have 11 minutes and I am going to fly.
Yeah. Damn, man. I'm so hyped, dude. Oakley kind of reminds me of Pippen. Not as egregious in terms of bashing like Jordan, but with the demeanor. I'm with you, bro.
It's pure toxicity, Idris. There's no other way to put it.
I'm with you, bro. I wish Mason was here. Rest in peace, Brick Mason. I wish he was here because he would have been really beloved by this New York Knicks fan base.
Oh, he was always around, a constant fixture, Springfield Gardens product.
He was from Queens, right? No,
yes, he was.
Yeah, he's from Queens.
He was. Springfield Gardens High School.
Right.
And his son played at St. John's. His son and Patrick Ewing's son actually run a company together.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, shouts out Patrick Ewing, always uplifting the Mason family, and that's what leaders do. They don't turn into bitter old pricks like Charles Oakley.
Yeah, we lost Mason too young, man. He was
absolutely. But until next time, he is Idris. I am Richie, and next time will probably be tomorrow night after the Knicks game.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'm just at a loss for words. What the Knicks did yesterday is just remarkable, but I got to keep in perspective. It is one game, but I do believe that one game may have very well broken the back of the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll find out soon enough. If you haven't already, please make it a point, like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Also, check out Talking New York on Facebook. We out.
Yep. Peace.
Big Nick energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we feel. The Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the island of Queens, we ballin' hard. Fulfilling all our dreams, thugging through the hustle. Got that grit and grind in this Big Nick energy, we forever shine. So let them know we rockin'. From the garden to the booth, Knicks in the building, bringing straight up truth. With our heads held high, watch us rise and transcend. Big Nick energy, this is just the beginning.